been in the process of planking the canoe. And the process I've been using is a simple method. Been taking the salvaged pieces that I could save. These are cracked and split and really dry. Probably could have been saved if I would have filled the holes and use some epoxy products and then reshape. But I have the new stock, so I'm going to use that. But simply, I've numbered these, as I mentioned in my previous video, and I just I transcribed the shape of these onto the new stock, cut them with a utility knife. Here's the new 3-inch stock, and this is 3-inch, and I also have 4-inch. There are some irregular cuts that require 4-inch, and so I have a lot more to do. I have a lot more to do there. Once the planking is complete, then I will go move into the interior. The interior of this canoe is actually in decent enough shape that it really only requires the surface to be abraded and then for new varnish to be applied. But prior to that, then all of the new wood has to get color matched, and I have Minwax products that I've been testing out, trying to match the patina of this existing color, and I think I can get really close. So once the color match is complete with all the new wood products, and then the interior is varnished, and then when the planking is done, I will flip the boat, give a sanding, look for any other loose tacks that require reclinching, and then I will mix up a turpentine boiled linseed mixture and apply that to the exterior of the hull, which will provide some more preservation for this hull planking, and then also give it more flat. It should extend the life of the hull considerably. So all the planking is complete. The 4-inch midship planking materials arrived, and that's been attached to the boat. The next step will be to color match all the new wood throughout the entire boat, and I'm using some Minwax products in order to try and achieve that. And then that'll be followed by a light sanding of the rest of the boat, and shellac will be applied to the bare wood surfaces to cover the stain, and then varnished. That's my next step right now. The first round of color matching the hull, the interior of the hull, is complete, and I'm pretty happy with the results so far. So I used Minwax gel stain, so it's a quick wipe on, wipe off, and I had darkened it with some other Minwax pure black stain, and I just made a little mixture, and overall pretty happy with the results. Gonna let this set for 8 to 10 hours, and I'll come back and then apply another coat. But I'm curious as to what this is going to look like tomorrow, because it's pretty close right now. It may darken a little bit more as the wood absorbs more of that stain. So we'll see. I'm happy with the first application of stain to match. So before I get into oiling the canoe with linseed oil and a mixture of turpentine, I'm just going to fill in these stem holes that are the result of previous tacks and staples. And all that requires is a little bit of glue and inserting a toothpick glued up. And what that'll do is reinforce the stem and provide some more rigidity and extend the life of the canoe stem. So pretty typical common practice. And when the glue is dried, these toothpicks will get broken off and then sanded flush with the stem itself. And then we'll move on to the oiling of the canoe. So it's time to oil the boat. All of the new wood pieces that were installed need 2-part mixture of boiled linseed oil to 1 part turpentine. And I'm going to do that on the interior of the canoe, and then the canoe will get flipped, and then I'll also oil the exterior of the hull in preparation for the canvas. So once that mixture is applied to the wood and to the exterior of the hull, it's going to require some time to dry. So off to my left here, I have the seats, the seat spacers, the carrying thwart, and the carrying handles that I've gently sanded with 220 grit just to loosen and abrade the surface to accept some spar varnish. And I color matched the yoke to be more in line with the seating colors and the spacers there, so that should come out fairly nice. So I'm just going to get into mixing up the boiled linseed oil and the turpentine, and to be honest, this is when my family really doesn't like me. This is going to stink up the whole house, and it will approximately for 2-3 days or longer. It's just the way it is. I can't do it outside. So yeah, it's they don't like it, nor do I, but it's pretty aromatic. So the spar varnish has been applied to the interior of the canoe, including the decks and the inwales, and it has cured. So the next phase will be to install the seats, the thwarts, the carrying handles, and the spacers for those seats. It's important to install them now because the next phase will be the canvas stretching and the application of the canvas to the hull. So that's going to create quite a bit of pressure on the exterior of the hull, and the seat and the thwarts and those components will allow the boat to maintain its shape when that pressure is applied to the stretching rig. Okay, so I'm making preparations to canvas the canoe. Several components go into canvassing a canoe, and one of those is a tongue and groove wooden clamp system that will be applied to each end of the canvas that will then attach to the stretching mechanism and rigging. Once the canvas is stretched, clothespins will be applied to each end of the bow and stern end. It's just a big clothespin, and it'll be clamped on the ends using multiple clamps. I intend on using 2 clamps on the wooden tongue and groove clamp at each end of the canvas, and then just 1 other clamp on each of the clothespins. I have 2 attachment points on my foundation here in my workshop. The come along is attached to one, and then I have 1,500 pound rated chain at the other end. It's quite a bit of force. That's a little overkill, but it's going to do the trick. So now I'm just in the process of setting up and getting everything rigged. I also have overhead hanging systems that will hold the wooden clamp system at a level plane, and then the canoe will be dropped inside the canvas envelope and then weighted down with struts to begin the actual stapling. I'll be stapling this canoe with stainless steel staples, and we'll go from there. So what I'm using for this recanvassing is a number 10 duck canvas. It's treated canvas, pre-shrunk, pretty standard. And I'm going to run it through this clamp, this tongue and groove clamp, which will hold the canvas throughout the stretching process. You got to unfold the canvas completely and then neatly fold it in half so it's perfect. A nice neat fold. And then just make sure it's equidistant. And then apply the 2 together here. And then clamp it. Do the same at the other end. And then attach the come along to one end and move to the attachment at the other end. So the canvas is now stretched. It starts here at the attachment point on the wall, to the come along, to the wooden clamp. Here's the canvas stretched. It's not completely stretched yet. To the other wood clamp, hanging from the ceiling there to keep this vertical. And then to the other attachment point on the wall with this 1,500 pound chain. So the canvas will be relaxed in a little bit, and then the canoe will be placed inside the envelope. So the canvas is stretched. Now I need to install the clothespin. So now it's time to cut away the canvas 4 inches from the top of each the bow and stern stem to about 4 inches from the top of each deck or a stem, and then 3 inches above the gunwale, the rails, to give a workable material for using the pliers to stretch and staple. Well, the canvassing is complete. Just finished this morning. And although I said in the first video that this would be a two-part canoe restoration series, I've decided I'm going to end this video here, simply due to the fact that the filler material to fill the canvas weave requires 30 days to cure. There's been a lot of progress made up to this point where the canvas is now complete. Shortly I'll get into the filling and then let that cure, and then I have other projects lined up. However, I thought you'd enjoy this project up to this point in part 2. Part 3 is going to be completely finishing the canoe and then delivering the canoe to the owner. So I really appreciate all of you following along, leaving comments on Instagram, on YouTube. So stay tuned for part 3. Thank you very much.